So I thought in this video we'd take a look at my two favourite snipers from Battlefield 4 and look into some tips and tricks as well, sort of following on from the tips and tricks video I did about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now, and more looking at how you can play the recon class more effectively. But ultimately I think those tips sort of integrate into my two favourite weapons because they're in stark contrast to each other. They are completely different recon weapons. Even though they're the same class, a sniper rifle, but for me, they couldn't be further apart. Now, for all those eagle-eyed viewers out there, well done. I am using the M40A5 at the moment, and this is perhaps my favourite sniper rifle across the whole of the Battlefield series. Ever since I started playing Battlefield Bad Company 2, the SV98 was always a really big weapon for me. It's how I got good at sniping on console, and trust me, getting good at sniping on console is quite hard with thumbsticks, because obviously you don't have a lot of control over where some things can go, especially when you're learning. It can be very difficult. The same with a keyboard and mouse. It was a very close decision between the SV98 and the M40A5 when it came to making this video, but the M40 just won out simply because it looks so goddamn awesome. It's so retro and old school, and when you look at it with an 8x scope on it, you think, bam, that's a hunter rifle, and you know exactly what you're going to be doing with it. You're going to be going for those headshots every single time. But that's not really the best tip to be giving you for sniping, not just to pick a weapon because it looks cool, but to pick a weapon based on your playstyle. That is the best way to pick a sniper rifle. Obviously you have to go through every single one and unlock them as you go through, but then you start to learn, well, this is how I play the recon class, so I'll pick that weapon as my main one. This is how I see the M40A5 for me in Battlefield 4. Sometimes I feel like I just want to get up in people's faces, I want to shoot people, and I want to play the recon class, and this for me is the best way to do that. It's the fastest firing sniper rifle in the class, apart from I think the Scout Elite, but then that's got terrible bullet drop on it, so you don't even want to be going near that thing. And that's why I use it, because it allows me to rattle off bullets much faster than another sniper that's sitting 150 metres away. Now, I mentioned bullet drop a few seconds ago, and that's something that you really do need to look into when you're playing with the sniper rifles. This is my next tip. You need to learn the bullet drop, because in Battlefield 4 there are 3 different types of bullet drop, or at least 3 levels of bullet drop that goes through weapons. So, for example, the SRR-61 has 6 meters per second squared of bullet drop, which is less than the gravitational pull of the Earth. Now the M40A5 has 9.81 meters per second of bullet drop. Compare that to the Scout Elite, which has 15 meters per second squared of bullet drop, and you really can start to see what I'm talking about. So the M40A5 sits right in the middle, 9.81 meters per second squared of bullet drop. That is the gravitational pull of the Earth. So really what's happening right there is the bullet drop in the game is representative of what would happen in real life. That's how much you'd expect a bullet to drop at any given range on Earth, because that's just the gravitational pull, that's what it is. The SRR-61 has less bullet drop than that, which means if you're going for headshots, you don't need to calculate the bullet drop as high, which means you can aim closer to the top of the head than you would do with the M40A5, which means over time it's got a better sort of accuracy at range, and it means that you can just sort of aim closer to the player, and it makes it easier for you to get those headshots. It works the opposite way too. With the Scout Elite, it's got more bullet drop than other weapons, which means you have to calculate more bullet drop and aim further above the head of the player that you're trying to shoot. Makes it harder to get those headshots at range, trust me, it's hard. I'm sure at this point, after talking about a lot of bullet drop, people are saying, well, why don't you just use the zeroing function? I mean, I could do. It's a perfectly valid option, it's there in the game for me to use, but I feel it takes too long. First of all, I have to have a rangefinder equipped to my weapon so I can find out the exact range for me to zero my weapon. Then I have to cycle through all the zeroings to get to the right one. Let's say he's 500 meters away. That's 3 presses of a key on a keyboard to get to that point. That takes about 1.5 seconds of my time. Then I have to aim on the head of the player and hope to high hell that he hasn't moved, because by that point, if he has moved, then I've got to re-zero my weapon, re-range him, and go through the whole process again. So I think with the bullet drop, if you pay attention to that, and you can sort of risk a couple of bullets going one way or the other, you can really start to get good. And trust me, it feels so epic when you use the M40A5, especially when you get those long range headshots. Because there's so much bullet drop, it does feel epic when you use it. So I'm sure by now you'll have noticed that the background gameplay has switched out to the SRR-61. I've been using this gun a lot more than the M40A5 in Battlefield 4, simply going for those long-range headshots. I think this is the second longest range rifle in the game, behind the M98B. It has a faster fire rate, and as I said, it's got less bullet drop, which means I don't have to aim above the head as much at longer ranges. So this thing is an absolute beast, and I have to say, I'm quite good with it. My stats are pretty good for it. But if you can learn to get good with any rifle, really, it doesn't make much difference. But I think that if you're going to go for any sort of long-range targets, this is another tip, by the way. If you're going for any long-range targets, make sure it's got a high bullet velocity, because that way you know that your bullet is going to get there in time. If you're aiming in front of somebody while they're running, the best weapon to use is either the SRR or the M98B. They are the best weapons at range, and most likely to get you a kill if you've aimed correctly. When I was reading up about the topic of snipers and things in games, a lot of people said they changed their sensitivity when they changed sniper rifles. Now, I don't really understand why you'd want to do that. I know there are varying statistics for different weapons, like bullet velocity, sort of maximum range, how many bullets in a clip, and etc. And obviously the damage as well, because the SRR does more damage than the M40A5 does, but I don't see why you'd want to change your sensitivity. That's pretty much a no-no. If you want to get good with sniper rifles, obviously you need to be very accurate with the weapons that you're using. Don't change your sensitivity, for the love of God, because you're building up a muscle memory if you leave your sensitivity as it is. Make sure it's something that you're comfortable with, and you're not doing 360 no-scopes in the middle of the ground just by flicking your mouse to the right or left. You don't want to be doing that. You want to make sure it's at a nice, comfortable level for you. For me, it's at 1300 DPI, which is a little bit higher than what other people use, but for the last year and a half I've been using that DPI and I've got used to it. So why would I need to change it? So pretty much, if you want to get good with a sniper rifle, for the love of God, don't change your sensitivity, because it will throw your aim off completely. One more recon tip: using equipment. Make sure you equip C4, because sometimes you can feel a bit useless when an enemy tank comes up to you and you've got nothing to blow it up with. Make sure you equip C4, it makes the recon class much more powerful. And then either have the tugs if you like the playstyle of sitting back and taking long range sniper shots at people across the map. Nothing wrong with that, but definitely use the tugs because it's a stationary motion sensor. If you're more aggressive like me, go with the motion balls, because you can just throw them around, replenish them from an ammo box, and the enemies pop up on the minimap. It's a win-win situation. The sniper rifles in Battlefield 4, I think, are the most diverse set of weapons in the game, each offering its own different stats and attributes depending on which situation you're in. But if you can apply the right one to the right situation, then you really can do well as a recon player. But that's the end of this video, guys, so thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, please do hit like, as it shows me you want me to continue making these kind of videos. And make sure you drop a comment down below as well. Here comes the money shot, 1 bullet left, but my name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.